Aloha and good morning. This is Clint Hansen with Maui Luxury Real Estate, and we're on Maui Real Estate Radio, broadcasting on the KAOI radio group, broadcasting at 11:10 a.m., 98.7 FM, every 7 a.m. Monday morning. I have my co-host Byron Yap, and we have special guest Kim Ball of High Tech. Kim Ball's more than just one of the founding members of High Tech. He is also an avid community supporter and resident of Maui. So we have lots to talk about this morning. And to get it off, Kim, you came on, from my understanding, in 1984, and it was originally founded by Craig Mason. Tell us about the early history of High Tech.
Yeah, Craig Masonville started High Tech in 1982. He basically had a board outlet in Paia. He shaped boards, and my pastor, Ricky Ryan, brought us together in 84 and thought we'd be good partners. And so we met at the restaurant, I think used to be called Dylan's. It's flatbed pizza now, I believe. We met and talked and shook hands, and never had any formal written agreement, but we became partners. And so we opened a store in Kahului in 84, and we had the Paia store. We did a little remodel there, and then we expanded to Kalamanu Center in 94 with Shapers, and then we opened in Kihei. I don't even know now, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, and we've had some other bumps in the road. We opened on Front Street once, and we opened at Malaya once, and they didn't work out so well. So we've had some successes, and we've had some swings and misses too. But
yeah, that's the inevitability of opening businesses, that you got to be willing to realize your profit and loss and make sure you make the right call, and whether or not you're going to drag the rest of the business down or stay profitable. So can totally understand that. No matter what, there's going to be those bumps in the road, like you say. But aren't you really more of a brick and mortar store? I mean, you're really located mostly on Maui. I haven't seen as much of like an international or online presence. Do you have any shops anywhere else other than Hawaii?
No, it's Maui's enough for us to handle too. And I just want to say more about Craig. Craig basically ran the factory. I ran the retail, and then in 1990 he went into ministry full time, Christian ministry full time, and then so we worked out a buyout. And Craig and I are still friends today. I mean, he's in the mainland. He had 5 awesome children, and so I can't say enough about Craig and what an awesome partner he was. And when he decided to leave the business, it was hard for me, but we've been totally blessed. And no, we have no desire to go anywhere else. Maui's our home, and that's where we invest in, and we have no desire to leave.
Did you, Kim, when you were a kid, were you a surfer, windsurfer? What got you to High Tech?
Well, Byron, it's kind of weird. No, I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Nebraska. My mother was an island girl. She was born and raised in Hilo. Went to the University of Missouri. My dad was there on the GI Bill. He was in World War II. And they at the day my dad graduated a year before my mom, and then when my mother graduated, they got married, I think, the next week, but they couldn't get married in Missouri because it was against the law, mixed race marriage. So they went to Iowa and got married, and so they raised a family, my brother and I, in the Midwest. So no, I didn't do any really water sports. I played football and wrestled in high school, and did some skiing when I was in college, and wasn't until we really got in the water till we came over to visit family in Hawaii, and kind of got hooked.
So did he actually come to Maui before World War II? Was he training here or something like that?
No, they met in college. He
Okay.
he served on aircraft carrier in the Pacific, but no, I mean, I think they came to Pearl Harbor, but no, my mom was at that point during World War II, I think she was in junior high, just entering high school in
I
Hilo.
gotcha.
Yeah, but yeah, they,
I know. I know that Maui was a hotbed for training for the storming of Normandy. You can actually, I of course remember when I was a kid growing up here, they used to have tons of pillboxes all over the place, and I still see the Aztecs up in the parking lots of Big Beach and whatnot. They still have, I think, a couple of little remnants of pillboxes. That's why I was asking. But that being said, the early relationship, that's amazing. I didn't even, it never occurs to me, the whole idea of being younger, that, you know, being mixed race was illegal in some places to get married.
In the South it was, yeah. So, but yeah, getting back to World War II, my mom remembers all the troops that used to come to Hilo and train, like you said, and yeah, it was kind of a crazy time. She's still alive. She's 91 and a half, and she's still pretty sharp. So
Now, high tech, every time I drive by or go in, I noticed it covers a whole spectrum of, if I'm a bodyboarder, surfer, windsurfer, kite surfer. I mean, what do you guys offer? I mean, you guys offer lessons too, right?
yeah, that lessons, Byron's really tough. So we don't do lessons, but we've worked with a
Oh,
school
okay.
for over 30 years with Alan Cadiz, and he does a great job at HSD is his company, and they have an office in our main store. But no, anything that, you know, basically boards you can ride, whether it's, you know, wing boards, as you know, and skateboards, or you know, windsurf boards, kite boards. Yeah, certainly, you know, sell a lot of surfboards, shortboards, and longboards. And so yeah, anything you can ride, basically. I mean, we're doing some electric skateboards, and we're doing one wheels, and yeah, just when you think, what else can there be, somebody invents something else. So they're crazy.
Speaking of school, I hear you do a lot of help with wrestling, since you've been doing that for a long time, right?
Yeah, the pandemic kind of slowed that down, wrestling, but yeah, yeah, basically since I came to Maui in 1980, I've helped out or been part of Lahaina Luna wrestling, and then started a club when my oldest son was in kindergarten in the Pili, and that's still going on. That's been about 25 years. And so I still organize that and help coach. But yeah, I'm 68, and I've gotta pick my battles now. So even though I'm involved, you know, we'll see going forward. Pandemic might have been good for that. It kept me at home, so my wife was stoked that wasn't a wrestling.
Keeping you safe and uninjured, is that it?
Yeah, I mean, I do enough stuff to hurt myself, so I've got
Me too.
I've got more scars than Carter has pills. So
Clint, I bet you didn't know, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, you have is it only a brother here that's a principal?
yeah, he's actually, he was superintendent of schools for East and West Maui, Molokai, and Lanai, but he just retired in June. So after, I don't know, 30 plus years in education or whatever it was, I don't know. But yeah, but he lives in Kihei, and we'll see how long he's retired.
Got to keep busy and doing something.
Yes.
Now, you were mentioning earlier, growing up here on island and working with the schools, and also just trying to collaborate with other people that do lessons. Is that something that you work productively with? If somebody's like, hey, I'd like to learn how to foil board, and you're like, hey, there's a group of people, this particular person trains, you know, if you want to learn how to use a wing, you have resources like that at your disposal?
Yeah, anything like that. We point to Alan Cadiz.
Alan Cadiz, okay.
Surfing lessons, there's different schools that we're friends with, and we'll point them in different directions, maybe for surfing. So yeah, I mean, we definitely have resources. We have a lot of customers who have schools, and we have supplied boards too. So yeah, basically, if anybody on Maui wants to learn any kind of ocean recreation, we can point them in the right direction.
How did, during COVID, because you're more of a brick and mortar, not like an online retailer like Amazon. How did during COVID affect you guys, and how have you come back?
Well, big time, because we had to close.
Yeah.
We were deemed not essential, even though we felt we were, because we sell safety equipment and we do sell transportation. but we had to close. So yeah, huge difference when you have to close your doors and still have all your financial obligations. But when we did open the doors, the local community has been super supportive. And the one thing we've learned through all this, because we didn't have tourists back here till October 15th, is that we can survive without tourists as a business. And we did. I mean, it was maybe a little tougher, but um, we, uh, we don't need tourists to survive in our business.
Wow. That's what I was curious about, because it seemed like you guys not being internet presence and all that, how the locals or what percentage, because it seems to me every time I'm there, there's a lot of locals coming in, such as I.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you from like the second week of May to October 15th, it was 100% local.
Wow.
We didn't have any
Yeah.
visitors. So, but I mean, obviously we love the visitors. They are a big part of our business, but it was a wake up call for us because, at the time we were shut down, considered bankruptcy and everything else. How can we survive with no income when we still have bills? So, especially having, 50 plus employees and, probably 150 vendors and plus all the rent we're paying.
Yeah, I bet that's substantial. I actually, in addition to selling real estate, I also own Maui Paintball, and it's
Yeah, I've been
interesting.
there.
People, oh yeah, you like it? You like the tree forts and stuff?
Oh yeah, we took we had an employee thing there a couple times. Yeah, it was awesome. It was good team building for our high tech crew.
Yeah, my manager Warren is amazing out there. He takes care of everything and allows us to provide a really fun, safe sport for the kids to go play. And a lot of people think that we have a ton of tourists coming out to the field, but the truth is more than 99% of the participants are almost all local. Most tourists that come to Maui don't really come to get shot at. They're come to soak up the beach, eat at restaurants, eat, drink, and be Maui, as they say. So when they came out and would come to the field, sometimes they're like, is it gonna hurt? Like I'll get weddings every once in a while, and it almost always happens with the wedding. They'll cancel the day before. So I don't do private sessions for visiting weddings because it's inevitable that they do the cancellation. And the funny thing is that since we've opened back up, our business is more than doubled just because we're one of the few activities. And I think that's a really big plus for you guys and COVID is the fact that their social distancing is built into water sports. I mean, you're not around anyone, you're out in the sun, which helps provide disinfecting from the sun, UV rays and whatnot. So that's great.
Well, fortunately, our government leaders never shut down the ocean, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean we've been even though we've had no high school sports and a lot of the other sports were curtailed, we still had the ocean was open and people were skateboarding too. We saw a lot of skateboards, so we were pretty blessed in that area.
One of the things I noticed interested about high tech, or I think it's pretty cool, is you guys seem to support like the local businesses, the local shapers more than, you know what I mean? You try to fit everybody in that you think you can sell their product. Is that a thing you do on purpose, or is just that's how you do your business?
Well, we want to support local anytime we're going to do that when we have an option. Getting surfboards from any local shaper is tough now, though. They're all busy, which I'm stoked for. So, but yeah, I mean, we've always thought local first, but yeah, and one thing my folks always taught me was to, give back to the community. So we do a lot of, events, surf events, and we just had a fishing and diving tournament, a couple weeks ago, probably one of the last events that's going to happen for a while. We did the Ole Longboard Classic the week before that, and we did a keiki contest in June. Very thankful for the mayor and the Parks and Recreation Department that gave us permits. Very difficult to get these days with COVID protocol, but so we're fortunate when we can do things. We're pretty involved with Maui Interscholastic League surfing. I think this year we'll have 9 high schools participating, and that'll happen in the spring. So yeah, some ways that we can give back to the community, and we're more than stoked to be able to do that.
know, that's one of the things that now, of course, I'll have to ask the question because I'm bringing this up. But when the truck went through your Kihei location and smashed all the stuff and whatnot, you can provide the details. I was reading through the comments trying to figure out what happened. Was it an accident or a theft? And one of the most common ubiquitous things that people were saying that you are one of the nicest, most community-minded, humble people that they've ever met, that you're just always are giving back to the community, and that couldn't have happened to somebody that's less, deserving. You really should have somebody, giving you an award as opposed to smashing through one of your places of business. So I got to say, I was really impressed, just not knowing you previous to these conversations, how many people came to bat saying that you're just a really genuine, nice person. That being said, what happened?
I guess fortunately I was in Denver at the time at Outdoor Retailer Trade Show when I got the call at dinner from Ty, our assistant manager, and I guess being in business now nearly 40 years, we've had our share of mishaps, I guess, cars running into our store, trucks or whatever. And so the bottom line is, blessed that nobody got hurt. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Everything, the store can be rebuilt, inventory can be replaced. And Ty just, it's, miracle, he wasn't hurt, or there weren't customers in the store at the time. So yeah, I've seen a lot of things. I've been through a lot of things and stuff. It would blow your mind if I told you what happened as far as, theft and that sort of thing. But have some great friends that came out that night. Lincoln Construction came out and buttoned up the store. They were there till 11:30 at night. The Maui Police Department did an awesome job of detective work and everything. That they arrested the alleged assailant that night. Our crew that we had from High Tech, friends that came with tools, and the surf school next door. They all came together and buttoned the place up by 11:30 that night, and then 4 days later we were actually open for business. And
Wow.
hopefully in a couple months we'll get our storefront back. I think it's being fabricated on the mainland and the rear doorway and everything. So I just can't say enough about the community. But also, Ty, it was pretty traumatic for him. And so I don't want to get lost in the fact that, oh, it's just a store and, it'll be fine, because, Ty's still going through some things. So,
Yeah.
he's a young guy and a great worker. And I'm sorry, personally, he had to, witness, what could have been a tragic moment in his short life.
Yeah. I'd have to say, though, this is like turning out to be the most Maui probably radio show I've ever had in my life. Listening to you talk about, I started a business partnership with a handshake and no paperwork to, overcoming tragedy with just people coming together without even being asked to help you put the store back together after, horrible incident like that. That's one of the things I love about being here, is the fact that we really look out for each other, and community-minded people such as yourself is what makes a better tomorrow for Maui.
Was there
So,
during COVID or now, what is the popular thing that's happening now? Is it stand-up paddle, foiling? What is everybody taking to get out in the ocean?
Well, I guess the newest thing is foiling, but foiling with the wing, with like a sail in your hand, an inflatable. You have no lines, you just have a couple handles, and you can get up and go foiling. It's something I've learned to do. It's fun, and like I said, at 68 years old, it's kind of fun to learn something new. And you're foiling, right? So how much fun it is just to foil.
For sure. And then you have the biggest thing that happens with High Tech, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the big things is the big sale you guys have. And I noticed that all your friends come and help. That's the big event. When does that happen every year?
Well, it's an anniversary sale. It happens in July. And unfortunately, we couldn't do it in 2020 and not in 2021. So maybe next year. Yeah, it's a big community event. We give away a lot of boards, a lot of everything, and it's another way of thanking the Maui for supporting us. But who knows if we'll be able to have it next year.
True.
It's a love-hate relationship with our employees because it takes almost a year to get ready for it, and then just the stress of it happening. So it's let's put it this way: a lot of our key employees, we're not sad that we haven't done it the last 2 years.
Yeah, hustling and bustling, getting all the inventory ready has got to be a bit of a nightmare. I hope that you guys aren't too overstocked with not being able to have one though.
No, I mean, it's almost just the opposite. The supply chain
Manufacturing
is
issues.
broken, so it's been
Yeah.
hard to get it's almost hard to get inventory all across the board.
Yeah.
Our inventory levels are not high, put it that way.
Yeah, manufacturing's been an issue across the board. It certainly has been in the paintball industry. One of the things that we have to, of course, account for is the manufacture of paintballs. And, many of those are actually done in medical grade facilities. A lot of people don't realize this, but paintballs are all food grade materials and biodegradable. It's like a bovine capsule, so the same thing that vitamins and things are made out of. So we get excess from medical plants that the encapsulation process, and then they do them in large batches when we get that recycled material. So after that goes through that process, it has to be basically kept in humidity controlled environments that's not too hot. Got to keep it under preferably 80 degrees, 75 degrees, so that they maintain that brittleness. And we came really close several times just to completely running out of inventory across the nation. And fortunately, those are all Canadian made where I'm getting my paintballs from. So they did have some shutdowns associated with the medical, but they were generally able to keep those supplies going because of a lot of it being tied in. But the funny thing is, all my equipment, like I've been trying to get, tank replacements, that took 6 months to get. I've been trying to get burst discs, which is to prevent, it's like a safety valve. Upgraded markers, because we've gotten all new EMAX, which are a lot better rate of fire and just more accurate, easier to maintain. All that stuff was stuff I ordered 9 months ago, 6 months ago before I was able to get it. I can't imagine having much larger products like you do to just deal with the day-to-day of getting inventory to you.
So did you say the inside of the paintball is edible? Because I've been shot in the face a lot. My face are up to that. And, it's good to know.
It's awful, I know. No, they
It's all
taste really bad. Yeah. So the inside is basically cornstarch and food coloring, and but the bad taste is a lot of the oil that they use. And the reason I like to use Canadian oil or Canadian paintballs is because they use a lot of fish oils associated with it. So it's a lot more biodegradable, breaks down faster. But the stuff that's made in China, it hurts more, thicker shell, and they use like sewing machine oil. So what you're tasting is probably yucky fish taste, like a fish vitamin. That nastiness that when it gets in your mouth is not fun.
Other taste that fish oil than soy machine oil. So keep doing it.
Yeah. You got to get your omega somehow.
You know what impresses me a lot about high tech, because I noticed over the years, I've been on islands from Oahu for 20 something years. I noticed the retention of the same employees. You seem to have a good retention of the same guys, and I think, what is your longest employee that's been there?
Oh gosh, Alex has worked for us sometime in the 80s. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, 35, 36, probably almost 38, probably 38 years. Yeah. Well,
Oh, wow.
I think, probably because they're not hireable anyplace else. So, yeah, they put up with, no, we are so blessed. I mean, we have a great group of people. And the thing is that I don't call them employees. I call them coworkers, because they're all, they become friends and family. And so just very blessed. And I'm happy. I'm one of those guys that I love coming to work every day. You know, people say, "Oh, when are you going to retire?" And this and that. And it's like, I'm retired already. I come to work and it's awesome.
Yeah. What are you going to do if you don't? You know,
Yeah.
maybe not work as much, right? But definitely work.
No, I'd drive my wife crazy, and I don't like doing yard work. I don't like cleaning garage. She knows that. I mean, it's like, no, it's better I'm here.
Absolutely. So any big other events coming up on the horizon? Any keiki events or just surf competitions you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, we have the high-tech Lopez Vizsla Surf Bash in November at Hokipa. It's a sanctioned event. It's a Hawaii Surfing Association sanctioned event, and John Willard puts that on for us. And I think we've been going, I don't know, 30 some years with that. I think this might be the 34th or 35th year for that. Hopefully we'll be able to have it, you know, that things will, you know, loosen up by then. And you know, we're excited. We, you know, put in for permits for the MIL surfing. That's exciting. That's one of the coolest things we do. You know, now I think we've had 9 high schools. I think we're gonna have 10 high schools this year. I think Kiei Charter's coming on. So
Oh, cool.
that's pretty cool, you know, to have it. You know, we're the only league in the state that actually has it as a Department of Education sanctioned sport. So in other words, they can be their athlete of the year. They can get honored just like any other sport at their local schools. Coaches are paid coaches. The athletic trainers come to the meets. Hana, when they come out, they bring a yellow school bus. They got surfboards on their yellow school bus. I mean, it's pretty awesome to see that you know, it's being treated like a, you know, like an interscholastic, like a regular interscholastic sport. I mean, my gosh, it was in the Olympics, right? So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
But that must be part of the reason that there's so many professional surfers that come off of our little rock. You know, we're sitting here in the middle of the Pacific, and we're blessed to have people like you that make the sport, you know, mainstream like it is. Get out there and enjoy the ocean and see what you got.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
thank
mean,
you.
we've had a lot of tremendous surfers come out of Maui, but this is more for, you know, some of these guys can become professional surfers, but more that, you know, surfing's their sport and they're not at that level, because to be at that elite level there's just a small, you know, percentage can be at that level where they can actually be sponsored and, you know, maybe paid to surf or paid to travel. It's so most of these guys do it just because that's their sport and they love it.
Yeah. But thank goodness they get school credit for it. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
So that said, and with the school that's going on now, I'm curious with your manufacturing processes. I'm assuming you outsource a lot to different places and are at the, you know, because you do have some shaping on Maui. What percentage is like locally made shaping compared to, you know, stuff made abroad?
Yeah, well, we don't have a factory anymore. We, you know, we closed our factory. I don't even know how many years ago. It's been a while, probably, you know, 10 years. Yeah, I mean, most of our boards are outsourced. I mean, we do carry some local boards, but not nearly what we used to. We do we do have boards from Oahu, but now the whole scene there has changed. I mean, talk to us 20, 30 years ago, it was all local boards. But now with, you know, the World Surf League and social media and, you know, all the World Surf League contests on, you know, are accessible on computer or personal device. You know, the young people, kids, they want what the pros are writing. So, and those boards are, you know, Oahu boards or maybe California or even Australia boards. Because the Maui shapers, I mean, even though they're just as talented, they don't have the resources to put these guys at that level on their boards. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So so naturally, people coming in the store, they see a Firewire, Channel Islands, or Plyzel. They've seen that board. They've seen the best surfers in the world riding those boards. That's top of mind for them. Don't get me wrong. Local shapers here have a lot of customers. They're very busy. I think if you order a board from any local shaper, it's not going to be weeks. It's going to be months. So
Yeah.
they're not complaining.
And that alone, though, I mean, the kind of volume that some people are picking out in the mainland, it's not easy being stuck here in the middle of the Pacific, getting big blocks of foam to shape out and, cure. It's quite the process. So I imagine with limited square or high square footage costs, it's just got to be, really difficult.
Well, yeah, the materials are tough anywhere, and the surfboard industry is no different. They've had, harder time getting the raw materials, and the costs have gone up just like everything else. So we see that in our invoices, but you know what? Everybody sort of knows that, and they're used to it, and they're just kind of going with the flow.
What is, if I want, since you've been in business for so long, what is the biggest challenge besides COVID that you see in the business for high tech, like you have to work through?
I think it's just always changing in our business. It's just like, it's never the same. I mean, if you'd have told me we'd be, 10 years ago, we'd be selling coolers and insulated drinkware, we said you're nuts, but then, 10, 15 years ago, we were selling headphones, and things like that. I mean, it's just, our world is always changing, I think the one thing that hasn't is, we've always sold surfboards and accessories, something to ride waves. But, on the periphery, a lot of things change. Now, I mean, almost all our short boards, I mean, all our quality boards, they don't come with fins. You got to buy fins, 10 years ago, that wasn't happening. But now it's like, yeah, that's, it's kind of like buying a new car without the wheels,
What's your right now, what do you think's on the horizon other than like new tech that's out there? Because I remember seeing hydrofoils back in the day, in the 90s, but it was nowhere near as popular. There are these big crazy bindings, and now I see foiling just all over the place. Do you think of anything, like I see the one wheel obviously getting a ton of popularity. What do you see next on the horizon that's just all of a sudden jumping out at you?
we just never know. I mean, there was a thing we what do they call those startup things, when they want some capital. We
Oh yeah, venture
online, yeah, I can't remember.
yeah, it's crowdfunding. I forget what the crowdfunding is called though. There's a website you go to, but yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, there's something coming out, and it's been, I don't know, I think we threw some money at it like 3 years ago. There's the motorized spin you can put on any board, so you can power back line up,
Cool.
and yeah, and then right away, I don't know, who knows? There's people tinkering with things all the time, and some of them work and some of them don't. And even when we first started carrying kites back in the day, for kite surfing, they brought us these Whippica kites. It was really the first inflatable kite, that was on the market. We had to have 2 of our employees go learn how to kite, so we could sell them. And then those 2 guys ended up going on the tour because they were like early kiters who were pretty good. And so yeah, you just never know what's going to be the next thing, So, but it's funny because we laughed Steve Rohn, our manager, and he's got this yellow legal pad, and we go back over whether it was stand-up boards or it was the kites, and now it's the wings and foils and whatever was new, could never get enough. So he put the name on a yellow legal pad, and we call them when they came in. And we've done that about, I don't know, 8 or 9 times with new things that have come out. We just laugh, We don't use a computer or anything like that. He's got his yellow legal pad and a pen, and he crosses names out and writes phone numbers down. And so we're still doing that. we still have a list right now with different boards we're waiting to come in.
Yeah. So you've been taking up on foiling then and using what do you call it, the wing, right? So you've been
Yeah.
moving. Now my
Yeah.
question, my brother is huge into it. He's never really been a surfer. I'm usually out there doing a lot of stand-up paddling myself, but my main water sport from when I was a kid was always been going out on the outrigger with my family. So he absolutely loves it. What brand is like your favorite foil board right now? Not the wing is not my question, but to me, I'm looking at it and there's a lot of different options to choose out there, and I'm a little baffled at the time.
Well, you're talking about three different disciplines. You're talking about prone foiling, you're talking about
Yeah.
stand-up foiling, and you're talking about wing
Stand-up.
foiling, and really they're all just a little bit different. So, but locally, Jimmy Lewis makes great boards. Keith
Jimmy
Rule
Lewis, okay.
with PT makes good boards. Nash has some great, Robbie Nash's company. Nash makes some great boards. I don't want to forget anybody. There's
Dave
other.
Kalama.
So yeah, Dave. Yeah, Dave. How can I forget Dave? He's a good friend. Dave Plum makes great boards. We sell a lot of his boards. Dave Mel has shaped some for Sailboards Maui. Gosh, I don't want to forget anybody. But there's a lot of good boards out there, and it's it's important to. And there's some used things, used boards on on Craigslist now. But
Yep.
important thing is to get a board that is not too small for you. That's the one thing we've learned. Everybody goes, oh, I want to go smaller. I want to go smaller. And then you go too small, and there's a certain point where, oh gosh, now it's impeded my progress. So
Yeah.
but
Want to get enough ounces to be floaty.
yeah. And GoFoil has just come out with boards. So we just got those in. GoFoil is a local company, Alex and Carla Guerra. They make
Oh, okay.
they make foils, which are unbelievable. GoFoils. Now they're making boards. Soon they're gonna have wings. So that's gonna be another local Maui company. So yeah, it's always changing.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate. Is there anything that you want to see on the horizon for the growth of your business? I mean, obviously maintaining it is wonderful, but to me, in our conversation, it's not so much about, expanding it and becoming, a billionaire or whatnot, because, you've been maintaining something really local, a really island style, a Maui kind of family that supports and grows the sports here on Maui and services the community. That being said, I mean, what would you see the logical next step in your companies if you're not going to be diversifying to other islands or internationally or in cyberspace? I mean, where do you see your company in the next 10 years?
Well, I think we always have to have our antenna up. We have, if we don't have the latest and greatest, even, we have, customer service is one thing, obviously, but if we don't have leading edge product, customer service will only get you so far. So we're, like I said, I was outdoor retailer in Denver a few weeks ago. We're leaving our two of our key buyers are going with me next week to Surf Expo in Orlando.
All right.
We are always, have our ear to the ground and, and also, all our employees are involved in different sports. We're not just selling it, we're doing it. So we just want, if we stay on top of things and, I think we're going to be okay. But if we don't have that passion, I've got 3 sons, all pretty sharp. None of them want to be in this business. No, I tell them, if you're not passionate about it, it's too tough. The business is too hard. You have to be on it. And
yeah, raise in margins.
Yeah, and they've all decided, no, Dad, that's not for us, And but at the end of the day, it's an awesome business to be in.
Byron, you have any other questions?
No, but I think in closing, where are the locations for High Tech?
Yep.
Our flagship store is in Kahului, right near the airport. I think it's called Triangle Square now. I don't remember. And original
That's what I
store.
always call it.
Yeah. Our original stores in Paia, although it's across the street from our original location. We are in partnership with Mana Foods on a piece of property there, and Mana Foods finally kicked us out, so we're at the location across the street. We're in Kihei, with an awesome location across from Sugar Cove. You know, it's a great family spot to surf. Tommy Castleton has the surf school next door. He's an awesome landlord for us. And then Shapers in the Mall. Like I said, we've been there since '94. And then we're silent partners in a store on Front Street called Stokehouse with Paul Nadi, the owner of Visla and Sister Revolution and Amuse, three really good clothing companies. So that's where we are right now. And you know, things could always change, but that's enough right now.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. I really appreciate it. It's been a wonderful and enlightening show. Yeah, I appreciate all the services and love that you give the island. It's great to see, you know, somebody that lives, works, and breathes Maui, and you give so much back to the community. And I'm glad you've been a wonderful success, and I look forward to more success from you in the future. This is Maui Real Estate Radio. We usually are talking about real estate. That's it. We're usually talking about real estate, but we're also talking about Maui because it's the things that are important to us. And we live on this beautiful little island in the middle of the Pacific, and we all work together. So thank you again. I was been a fantastic show. If anybody wants to listen to this show or any other show, you can go to mauirealestateradio.com and you have it there. But we broadcast Mondays on the KAOI radio group, 1110 AM, 98.7 FM. And until next time, aloha.